go, David.
Good afternoon. Hello, I'm David Stenstrom here with Julia Newman for Kern Fire Safe Council's June community-wide webinar. Now, this month's topic is on the emergency alert systems in Kern County. And today we're going to learn about what they are, how they work, and how we can sign up for them. Our guest is Andrew Freeborn. He's the Public Information Officer for the Kern County Fire Department and the man to talk to if you have questions about Kern County's emergency alert systems. Now, if after his talk you have a question for him, please type it in the chat room and we will answer as many as there is time for. But if that question happens after the webinar is over, or if it occurs to you in the middle of the night or while you're in the bathtub, just please write it into the website kernfiresafe.org and we will get you an answer for you as soon as possible. So, without any further ado, Engineer Freeborn, the floor is all yours.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that, and thank you for allowing me to come here and speak on this topic this afternoon. Communication, as we see in the world, is certainly great importance. And when it comes to needing to make critical decisions, the correct critical decisions, certainly when we think of emergencies, individuals want to know that they're getting the right information and that they're getting that information that's going to empower them to make good decisions. Some of the things that we're talking about this afternoon are things that we can do in a non-emergency environment to prepare ourselves so that we can get that good communication during an actual emergency. One of the things to speak about is the fact that there are certain communications that we have seen or heard throughout our life, which have been around for many years, and those are still used to this day. We think of when you're driving down the road and you're listening to the radio and you hear that noise coming over the radio and you think, what is that noise? And then maybe it says that this is a test of an emergency alerting system. Or you'll have the news or the sports game you're watching on TV, the volume completely changes, you hear a noise, you can't make out what they're saying on TV, and the next thing you know, the scroll comes across the screen, this is a test, or maybe you see an actual emergency message. Those types of emergency alerting systems are still in place to this day. When you think of Kern County as a whole, though, if we send out an alert through those types of messages, typically you can't say, I want the message to go out to this specific community. Everyone in Kern County is going to get that message. And that can be confusing or cause anxiety for some people that they don't need to have that anxiety built in them. They're far removed, hundreds of miles away in the county from where the emergency is occurring. So those are a very broad and blanket type of emergency alert system notifications, and nobody has to opt in for those. Since it's that broad, we all get those messages. But there are other things that we can do that we're going to talk more specifically on this afternoon, and that's the things that we can opt in. That is, I live here, I work here in Kern County, and I want to sign up for specific notifications. Notifications that are tailored for the area where I live, or tailored to the area where I work. Or even the ability through some of these programs now to say, I want first responders that come to my home to know X, Y, Z. And so what we'll do is we will go over now some of the things that we can opt in for right here in Kern County that helps us to get that much needed emergency information. So what we'll do is we'll start off, and I'll be moving my screen around here and try to get out of the way of things as we talk about this afternoon. The first slide here that you see is the Kern County Fire Department's website. This is a complete new website. The website was redeveloped for the express purpose of being something that was more user-friendly for our community and for us to have better communication with our community. So right at the top, you'll see at the website, which is now mobile-friendly as well, you'll see the very first and top features are current incidents, incident information, and a search bar. Those can be used by individuals that want to know what's going on around them. They see something on the freeway, traffic stopped, they've been stopped for 20 minutes, what on earth is going on? You click on current incidents, you start scrolling through and you realize there's a pretty significant traffic accident on Highway 99 southbound, and you're on Highway 99 southbound. Well, at least now you know. You know exactly what the incident is, you know where it's roughly located. That will a lot of times give individuals an idea of potentially how long they could be stopped in that traffic. So aside from that, this is going to be everyone's launch point for these communications, these emergency alert notification programs. This is going to be your portal, if you will, to go to those places to sign up, to opt in for these emergency notifications. So once you log on to the Kern County Fire Department website, which is simple, kerncountyfire.org, you're going to scroll down. You're going to scroll down to the right underneath the quick links. You'll see the community links. There it says sign up for Ready Kern. There's a button for Smart 911, and there's a button for Community Connect. So right from kerncountyfire.org, you can branch out to all three of the different programs that are available free of charge to anyone here in Kern County. Not only are these available free of charge for you, these programs are secure, they're encrypted. So how do they work? Well, we'll start with Ready Kern. Ready Kern has been in place longer than Smart 911 and longer than Community Connect. The way that Ready Kern works is it's an emergency notification system, and it's designed to give information out that can be more tailored, more specific than that broad county-wide messaging. It can be a message to alert individuals of potential dangers because of earthquakes, severe weather, fires, floods, evacuations. Even recently, they've had some of the messaging that's gone out through the Ready Kern notification system related to the recent COVID-19 pandemic we've been dealing with. The idea behind this is that you can go in and you can create your Ready Kern profile in which you're able to put your home address, business address, etc., the locations that you know you're often around. And so let's say you are living in Pine Mountain Club, but you often work at the base of the Grapevine. You work in and around the Tejon outlets. You could list that business address. And so whereas individuals that live in Pine Mountain Club may not receive an emergency notification, you may receive an emergency notification for something that's happening at the Tejon outlets. Maybe there's a hazardous material, there's a chemical leak of some kind, and that area needs to be evacuated. As I arrive on scene or I'm en route, I'm continuing to communicate with the incident commander on scene. When these sort of notifications need to be made, I'm able to make them to our community through social media. We're also able to work with our staff at the Kern County Emergency Operation Center that's over off of Panorama near Bakersfield College. They're able to push this Ready Kern message out, and they can actually tailor it to a certain geographic area. So if you're listed in that geographic area, you can receive those alerts. You can receive them by email, phone, cell phone. There's even the ability for the Ready Kern system to send messaging out for messaging that would be good for those who are hard of hearing, hearing impaired, individuals who are blind. They have different methods in which in their household they may receive messages. This system has the ability to put out the correct information for those systems that those individuals have in place so that even they can receive these emergency notifications. So Ready Kern is the first thing to think about. Opt into Ready Kern. It's free, it's safe, it's secure, helps you to be prepared, be aware, be Ready Kern. So if you go back to the other link on the Kern County Fire Department, next to the sign up for Ready Kern, there's another button that says Smart 911. What is Smart 911? Well, Smart 911 helps you give information to first responders. So whereas the Ready Kern system helps us to get information out to individuals, Smart 911 helps you to give that information to the first responders, and it's kept in a secure server. It's all encrypted, and I can't, as a fire department employee, I can't go into the system and look up your information. The only way that that information is made available is if you sign up and you say, this cell phone that I have, this is the phone number that I want to connect to my Smart 911 profile. So if I call 911 from this cell phone, I want the following information to be available to the dispatchers that they can also make available to, let's say, the firefighters that are responding. Why is this important? Well, let's give another example. Let's say a mother has some pre-existing health conditions. She's on medications. She's seeing her general physician regularly for these pre-existing health concerns. She has a medical emergency at the house, and it's just her 6 or 7 year old daughter that's home to call 911 for her. That 6 or 7 year old daughter may not understand the pre-existing health concerns that that mother is dealing with. She may not know what medications her mom is taking. So that individual could have in advance gone and put in their Smart 911 profile that I'm seeing a physician for the following, I'm taking a medication for the following. You can list your pet's names if you want. You can say, we have a pet dog. He looks super mean, but his name is Bambi, and he is the sweetest dog. So if I'm not able to put the dog away, you can still enter the yard. The dog's name is Bambi. Or in some cases, individuals have left information saying, we have left a hide key at this location on our property. And we know that there are times that an emergency may require the firefighters to show up and the home is locked up. They can't get to that person who is unable to get off the floor. They were able to reach the phone, but can't get off the floor. They need help. They need public assistance. They need the firefighters to help them to bed, to make sure they're okay. And they don't want the firefighters to have to kick the door down, damaging the home in the process. So they leave a note in there that is available when they call 911 from that cell phone that says, in the birdhouse to the left of the front door, if you look behind it, there's a key to the front door. So these are some of the things that can be done in advance with your Smart 911 profile. Some of this may seem kind of generic. Why do I need to go through and do these things? Well, the reason we recommend individuals to go onto Smart 911 to create a profile is because during an emergency, every moment counts. So if you're in a position that you can't give clear information to the dispatchers, that could delay matters. That could delay them trying to get an idea of where you're actually calling from. This now allows through Smart 911 for them to know exactly where that GPS of that phone is at that time when that individual calls. Not at any other time, but when they call. So Smart 911 gives firefighters, ambulance personnel, it gives the law enforcement, it gives them that critical information that will a lot of times help them to get to you faster and be able to give you the exact care that you need when they do arrive. And so that is certainly a great benefit, something we encourage individuals to sign up for. The third program, which we encourage individuals to sign up for, is called Community Connect. Now, Community Connect is just like Smart 911 in that you're providing information for first responders. But Community Connect does something for fire personnel, and that is, this is a program that we also use because we enter information into this program for our use. So when we make inspections on facilities, we make notes about those facilities. It goes into here. So moving forward, we see that from a fire department standpoint, we are going to be relying far more on the Community Connect, even more so than the Smart 911. because of the other added benefits of what it allows the fire personnel to add into the program that we can see at any point in time, as well as the same benefits that was just discussed for the Smart 911 profile. You can also do those same things here in this Community Connect portal. So those are the three most common communication traffic ways. The word escapes me at the moment. But those are the three things that we as a Kern County Fire Department recommend individuals investigating. Of course, in an emergency, you're going to be able to get messaging from your radio, from your television. If you have a landline, the Ready Kern can call you on your landline. If you have cell phones, you can get contacted through Ready Kern. As a fire department, we will be putting messaging out about evacuation orders. Just last week at the Yankee Fire, we had a community there that an evacuation warning needed to be put in place for that community. And so we put that out through social media. We put that out through the Ready Kern messaging system so that all those that may have been affected in that community, whether they were there or whether they were there somewhere else, would have known what was happening in that community, empowering them to make the right choices. So those are the three programs: Ready Kern, Smart 911, Community Connect. And in line with that, we encourage everyone to closely monitor the fire department's social media. And when we have critical fire weather, it's summertime, continue to be aware of your surroundings. Keep a good situational awareness, which a lot of times comes from something as simple as just tuning into the radio, watching the news, and that way you can kind of keep an idea of what's going on in the community around you. And I'd be happy to answer any questions about these programs.
Wow, thanks, Andrew. That's stuff I didn't know. Now, folks, let me remind you that your questions can be written in the chat room and later on at the website, kernfiresafe.org. Oh, I do have a question. Now, I was in Pine Mountain for the Day Fire, which was in 2006, I think. And my business, I kept my business open for the firefighters, but I was able to get on IncyWeb, and that gave me, you know, every 6 hours it was an updated computer screen as far as an image of the fire area. Will this, because the passage of time, has technology gotten so that there is a way for me to look at that kind of a thing within the Kern County thing, so I don't do, I get more current updates?
Okay, so each agency has platforms that they will put their incident information on. I believe it's the Forest Service that most uses IncyWeb quite a bit. So it depends on what of those platforms that Unified Command is using to update what is happening on that fire. So you may have a fire that has a Unified Command through U.S. Forest Service and Kern County Fire Department. So what you're going to see is once the incident's up and running, they will usually do a morning briefing and an afternoon briefing. And that's usually when you're going to get your updates on IncyWeb, Kern County Fire Department's website, on social media platforms such as this. So it doesn't hurt to watch the IncyWeb. It doesn't hurt to go to CAL FIRE because they will usually update after those briefings. They'll update their website as well. And the new website of the Kern County Fire Department will have a new feature here soon in which everyone can opt in. They can sign up for notifications. And that way, every time we make a press release, they will receive the email of that press release stating this is what's occurring. And so in that instance, individuals wouldn't even have to take the time to go over to IncyWeb. As those morning briefings, afternoon briefings are occurring, as those updates are coming out, they'll be populated to the website, and all those that wanted that reoccurring information from the fire department would get those press releases automatically.
Would that be landline?
that would be to their email. And so they'd be able to get that email to their desktop, their mobile device, wherever, and they'd be able to select on it and pull the PDF up, and to be able to say whatever was included in that most recent update.
We would discover like what time they do their briefing. And one of the things that our media does right now is they have breaking news, and they broke it like 3 hours ago, but they still say it's breaking news. So it's repeat, repeat, repeat to ad nauseum. So by knowing what time the briefings are, you would be able to discern that it was current or new information, as opposed to what you had been listening or looking for the hours prior to that, correct?
Yeah, especially on a large incident, you have so many different media outlets, and they're all looking for that update. And so I know for myself personally, my phone will just keep ringing, and I'll talk to the local news, and an hour later they'll ask for another update. And it gets to the point where you could spend more time focusing on trying to create an update than actually getting productive work done. And so that's why they get to the point, once the fire is up and running, that all of the different situation unit, mapping, plans department, all of these are really starting to work like a fine, efficient machine. That's when you will get to that point where, hey, look, there's going to be an AM briefing and a PM briefing. And you'll need to understand there's fire activity occurring between the morning and the afternoon, et cetera, but we can't make a different update every 1 hour because it takes too much resources away from helping with what's necessary.
Actually,
yeah.
Okay. Julia, do you have some questions?
I do have several, actually. And Kathleen is asking, is there a system? Oh, I got to open the chat again. I lost that question. Because she's having issues, like her internet goes out. So she's wondering, it works if she has a computer and reliable internet and cell service. But in fact, if her internet goes out, is there any way she can get updates aside from anything that has to go out? Because she does not have a landline.
I would say get a landline. That's something we continue to urge people to do. So many people have gotten away from having a landline, and the downside to that, and this was actually a discussion I was having with our dispatchers, it's funny how far technology's come, and we all think of these cell phones. How on earth could we be tied to a landline? That was ridiculous. Now we have these cell phones. But when individuals used to call the dispatch center from a landline, the dispatchers knew exactly where that person was calling from. And a lot of people think, well, they could just, triangulate this, that, and the other. They can find my cell phone if I call and I can't tell them where I'm at. It becomes extraordinarily more difficult to locate a cell phone compared to a landline. A landline also doesn't have that issue typically of a poor signal. So we continue to encourage individuals, if they're really wanting that ability to have that good connection, a landline is going to be a great first and best option. Aside from that, the best thing to do in the fire department, we talk about redundancy. If there's a chance this could fail, what's the backup plan, right? So I would say for this individual, if there's issues with something with reception at times or internet that's not good at times, make sure that we're signing up and we're allowing the notification to come to us through the multiple means. So let's say you don't have a landline, but your neighbor next door does. Well, hey, I know a lot of people for many years, if they knew something was going on, the first thing they did was they went and checked on their neighbor next door. So perhaps communicate with one another. You've already got a landline. If something's going to affect me in this cul-de-sac, it's going to affect you as well. Make sure someone's got our landline listed there. Make sure we sign up for our cell phones. Make sure we sign up for our email accounts. And that way we're having the option to get that notification through television, through radio, through internet, through cellular connection, and through the data connection. Something there will work. And as we mentioned, if at the very least it's that good neighbor that came over and said, hey, I got no internet right now, I got no cell phone, but I do got the landline, and I just had a recorded message that stated a fire in our community and that there's XYZ evacuations that are being recommended.
Yeah, this isn't so much a question, but a comment on what you were talking about. It's so important to work with your neighbors during an emergency. When I was in Agua Dulce during the sand fire in the Santa Clarita Valley, and we were watching the flames come toward us. I mean, they were coming over the ridge and coming toward us. We didn't know if we had to evacuate the horses. We didn't get any orders. But all the neighbors were all checking the different alert systems, and we discovered Broadcastify, and we were listening to that in real time. That was so amazing. And I have to say my respect for firefighters has gone up so much since listening to that, because the noise and the chatter, I don't know how you all concentrate when there's so much going on. I mean, it was an amazing experience to listen to it in real time. So something like that is really useful, but getting to know your neighbors, even if the only time you ever get together is during an emergency, at least, connect with them before one comes your way. Okay, now I do have other questions. So is there a way, because I know like with my cell phone, I don't answer it if I don't know who's calling. So is there a way to positively identify that this incoming call is Kern County giving you an alert?
I'll have to look into that, because I get those alerts whenever something goes off. And I don't know if it's because the person that was the public information officer that came before me saved the contact. So that's a great question. I've never actually had someone ask me that. So I can research that and figure out is there some way. I do know that one of the first things that they will say if you do answer it, or if they do leave a message, is that this is a message from the Ready Kern Emergency Alert System. So right away, they're getting right to the point if you do answer. But like you said, if you're in the habit, I know that there's so much nowadays, even on our cell phones, maybe on our cell phones more than anything, that we get these telemarketing scam calls that we try to kind of filter it out as best we can. What's it going to say when it calls through? So I'll look into that for you.
Okay, great. I appreciate that. So, so I know that I registered my phone, my computer, my email. I registered everything that I have, and I wanted to know. Well, the question, somebody else asked this question. I mean, I already know the answer because I did this, but they wanted to know if you register more than one device, will you get notified on all the devices that you register?
I can't recall if you select one as your primary and others, but I believe if you list it, you're going to get contacted through that means. And I always looked at that as another form of redundancy myself, because in essence, most people don't have a lot. Let's say you live in a household, 2 or 3 people in the household have a phone number. If it does get to the point where you're receiving the phone calls, you got 2 or 3 people. It's not something that all night long you're getting that same recorded message.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Okay, so now if somebody that's registered and they change their phone number or something and they need to update their information, how do they do that?
So they'll just re-log into their account. They change their address. They change where they're working. They change their phone number, email. You can go in and change that. And programs like Smart 911, you actually have to re-log in and verify your information is correct every 6 months because it's trying to cut down. These programs are trying to get more tailored, not into making you have to do more work, but making sure that that information is up to date. Because maybe you used to be on that medication and you're not on any of that medication any longer. You're on some other medication. And so the more we think about what we want emergency personnel to know about us, if we're making a change in our life, I know we don't often think about that, but it's something that we should be thinking about. If you wanted your friends, your family, your emergency contact to know that something has changed, you would want these programs to know that something has changed as well.
Yeah, that makes total sense. But Peggy is asking if Kern has an iPause system that interrupts TV and computers. And can you also talk about Nixle?
So Nixle is a program that is more or less like an app or a communications platform in which messaging just goes out on it. You can sign up for alerts, that sort of thing. I know that as a public information officer, I have signed up with the Kern County Sheriff's Office Nixle account. So anytime they put a press release, I get that notification. So in essence, if individuals begin to sign up on the kerncountyfire.org website for notifications, it will be very similar to that Nixle, but you're not going to have to do anything. It'll just come to your email account automatically without having to sign up for any account. So we're not going the Nixle route. We're trying to avoid individuals having to have an app. We thought about designing an app for the fire department, and then we said, no, apps constantly need updates. You have to now download an app. There's all of these things. So we wanted it to be as streamlined as possible. Log on to it and decide if you want to receive these emails or not. Or log into these other accounts and decide, opt in that you want to provide this information or that you want information in return, such as Ready Kern. So that's where we stand on Nixle currently. And Nixle could be the same as the Nextdoor app, any of these things where people and groups are getting on it, like message boards and communicating with one another. Right now, we're not using that as a fire department. The next portion of that was IPAWS, Integrated Public Alert and Warning Systems. This is a giant program, if you will, more or less developed at executive order of the president some number of years ago. The best way to think of IPAWS is think of every single emergency alerting system all in one, and think of it being able to be disseminated from one point. That's really the best way to think of IPAWS. The way that some of the programs currently exist, emergency alert warning systems,
Feedback.
so those.
Phyllis, can you mute yourself, please? Okay.
So the television, the emergency alert system, that has the ability to interrupt television. That has the ability to interrupt radio. As it is, we send out social media alerts, notifications, incident updates through social media. Ready Kern sends out this message to emails, landlines, cell phones, to the different devices that are there for those who are hard of hearing, visually impaired. IPAWS more or less says, hey, we're going to take all these systems, we're going to lump it into one package so that when someone pulls the lever, boom, it just goes out through everything. Instead of one person having to go to this program and send it out, and now go to this program and send it out, it's really a program that will hopefully eventually get to the point where it can be supported through funding and staffing here locally, because that would help me in my job to make my job more streamlined. But ultimately, it's still going to use as its foundation the programs that we have in place currently.
Okay. What about does the Ready Kern go out over ham radio?
No, but we have individuals that are hobbyists, ham radio. There's clubs and various organizations. And we actually have an office, an area at the Office of Emergency Center, the Emergency Operations Center up near Bakersfield College. And they actually have an area where they can set up shop within that building to start helping us to make that communication through ham radio frequencies if it gets to that point.
Yeah, that's a good thing. And I know that EAS, which is the emergency alert system, which is that loud noise that comes over the TV and the radio, sometimes you can get messages like that on ham too with that. I hate that noise, so I really appreciate that Ready Kern isn't using that horrible noise. It's really annoying, especially in the middle of the night. Okay, I've got a couple other questions here. Okay, so you talked about Smart 911 and signing up and putting all this personal information that you wouldn't want anybody but a first responder to have. So is is that information going to be shared with a third-party organization? Because that's kind of scary to put all that personal stuff out there and tell them how to get into your house.
Yeah, it is not shared. It is stored on secure encrypted servers. And I hope I gave a good description of how it's accessed. I can't, as a firefighter, even access it. Our dispatchers can't even access it. The only way that it's accessible is if the cell phone number that I used to create that account, if I call from that cell phone, let's say I get in a car wreck and I call from that cell phone, they have a much better location system that is then used, which is normally not available for our dispatchers. But because it went through that Smart 911 and that number was registered, it helps our dispatchers there. It also pops up onto the screen of the dispatchers, and it actually times out. They can't just leave it on their screen indefinitely. They can use that information to relay it discreetly to the fire personnel through our computers if it's not something that can be said over the radio. And eventually that message that popped up when that person called 911, it goes away. They don't have unlimited access to it. It's there to help them, to assist with dispatching, help those firefighters who are responding and getting on scene and helping you. But it's designed to go away so that they can't continue to do anything with it. And so it is a very secure method.
Okay, that's good to know. And then I have another question here. So if I want to opt out, how do I opt out?
So that's the brilliant thing about opt-in programs is you're just not in it. You have to opt in to Ready Kern, Smart 911, Community Connect. If you've already gone in and said, I want to be a part of this, and you no longer wanted to, you would have to go back into your account and turn your account off at that point. Or like with Smart 911, after 6 months, you're not updating it, it goes defunct. You're no longer going to get any messages until you go back in and say, I've reviewed it, and over this period of time, all of my information is still current, it's still good to go, keep sending me, keep me in the program.
Mm-hmm. Do they send you a notice reminding you that you need to put your information in again, or you just need to remember?
I believe they do. I believe you get sent a notice.
Okay, that's a good thing, because otherwise I'd be having to mark my calendar for the next 2 years.
Or we just do it like everything else in our lives. We connect it to changing the smoke alarms. We connect everything to when we change our clocks.
Oh yeah, all at the same time. That's smart. Okay, and then the last thing that I can see here, so could you just restate how everybody signs up for these 3 programs? Just to redirect, because some people didn't come at the very beginning.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and pull the screen back up here, and maybe that helps. So to get to any one of these programs, you're going to log on to the kerncountyfire.org website. From there, you'll be able to scroll down to the area that says Community Links. Under the Community Links, you'll be able to access all 3 of these programs, Ready Kern, Smart 911, and Community Connect. So in essence, you only have to remember kerncountyfire.org because you'll be able to go to all of those places from there. From there, you can also go to the kerncountyfire.org, the Kern County Fire Department's different social media accounts. And if you're not following them, you can begin following them. I strongly recommend it. And eventually you'll notice there's something in the top that says register. Eventually we will have it here soon to the point where individuals can go ahead and register so that that incident information that they want to know what's going on with these specific incidents, as was asked earlier, what about NC Web or some of these other programs, eventually we'll have that feature available. That way, if you're curious, you're the kind of person that wants to know what's going on, you'll be able to click sign up for that, which is you have to opt into it that you want to receive these notifications. But then at least from that point forward, you'd be able to receive the various emails as the way it's initially set up, maybe eventually text messaging or something else as well. But for right now, we're trying to finish the build out so that if individuals want to receive notifications on what the fire department's doing, training exercises, burn operations, prescribed burns, actual wildfires, updates on the wildfires, any of these things that we would be putting out press releases for. It used to go just out more or less to some local news agencies. Well, we want anyone that wants that information to be able to sign up for it. So eventually we'll get that sorted out, and that way anyone that wants those press releases, they'll get it directly. They don't have to get that information from someone else first.
Okay, and one other question occurred to me as you were talking. See how I can. Okay, so if you have to be evacuated, if you suddenly you go from voluntary evacuation order to mandatory, will that be sent out on the alert?
Yeah. So that's going to be something that would certainly be on the fire department's Twitter, and that would certainly be something on Ready Kern. That's a significant community notification. If you're talking, if we are talking, hey, it's no longer an evacuation warning, it's now an evacuation order. Things have gotten to the point where those in command see a very significant safety risk to our community and a very short period of time for people to get out of harm's way. We try to give people time to get out, and that's what the warning's for. By the time you hear that there's an evacuation order in place, that means you really need to get going.
Okay, and also will the alert tell you what direction to evacuate in?
It depends on how quickly that order is being asked to be done. So if I see, I'm going to give an example here. If I see a community and they only have a few ways to go in their community. They can only go north, they can only go south. And I see where the fire's at, I may say, you need to evacuate, but if you're north of this road, you need to evacuate north. If you're south of this road, you need to evacuate south. We could potentially put something in a evacuation order that states all those in this area need to evacuate, and an evacuation refuge area, safe refuge area, is such and such high school. Well, we're using that point of reference that everyone in the community knows, for the most part. They should all, within reason, would know. And there's not a bunch of different ways to get there.
Yeah.
You're going to go that way. We always want to try to say, if you're in this area, you need to leave. And you need to go to this here, and this is how you get there. In the perfect world, those are the three things I always want to give to someone. But if we don't have time to scout it out, we don't have time to verify if that refuge area is still available, and the only thing we have time to do is say, you need to get out of here right now. That may be the only thing you get. And as more information comes that we can verify, you may start getting secondary updates. The evacuation order remains in place. All are suggested to go south on Tehachapi Willow Springs Road. Third update, continue to move south on Tehachapi Willow Springs Road. There's a safe refuge area at Walmart. There's a safe refuge area at Love's Truck Stop, whatever we can. It is all in connection with how quickly is the emergency escalating and how quickly do we need people to get out of the way.
Okay, that's good to know. In my neighborhood, you've got two directions. That's it. Same road, one road. You can either go that way or that way. And if you go the wrong way, you're stuck.
Yeah.
So that was important.
The other reason we really do prefer to try to give a direction when we can is because it will hopefully reduce gridlock as well. There has been confusions during evacuations that have caused gridlock. And so we want, if we need people to get out of the way quickly, we want that exit to be as smooth as possible with everyone doing the same thing in an orderly manner. That way we're reducing the chances of any potential gridlock.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Andrew. You've answered all of the questions that I have, and Peggy says thank you too. Thank you for partnering with us and doing these webinars.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me come here, and I'll look up that information about what that phone number is going to say when it calls on your phone.
Okay, that'd be awesome,
Get back
because
to you
if
on
I don't
that.
recognize, I get so many telemarketing calls. If I don't recognize a number, I don't answer it. My philosophy is that's what voicemail is for.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you will get a voicemail. I do know this.
I signed up for text and voicemail.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
A lot to digest. A lot to digest. Is there a number to make it as a contact? That's what Peggy said.
The number that Kern is going to dial us from. Can we make that number? Can we put that in our phone to make it a contact?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to have to look up, because last time it had called me, it was in my phone. And as I mentioned, I can't remember if that was someone before me. I don't know if they had put that contact. So I just saw it was Ready Kern.
Yeah.
So I'll have to look into my phone and see if I've got it listed, a phone number actually with that, or if it happens to be just Ready Kern and there's not necessarily a phone number associated with it. I'll have to dig into that.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Wow, that was a lot. That was a lot. A lot to interest. A lot of stuff we don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, this webinar, like all of our other webinars, will be posted on our website at kernfiresafe.org. I want to thank you, Andrew. That was great. Great information. Just incredible. But you can find it on kernfiresafe.org and also on the Facebook page, Kern Fire Safe. So you can review it, or you can refer a neighbor to it. And that's a big deal. I mean, some folks may not even know about our monthly webinars, but if you talk about it, if you're here and you talk about it to other people, and if they put it to use, well, the whole community has benefited, hasn't it? And so it's so important to spread that word. And please think about joining us on the Kern Fire Safe Council, because you can make a difference. You really can. And we'll be back in July with another webinar, so stay tuned. And remember, fire could be coming. So let's be ready for it, all right? Thank you, and goodbye for now. Thank you, Andrew.